Al Davis had already served as an assistant coach, head coach, commissioner of the AFL, and general manager. In 1972, he became the managing general partner in Oakland. For the rest of his life, Al Davis embodied the Raiders, while thriving in his role as the boss.
The organizational chart flowed Al and then everybody below him. You know, you knew he was there. You could smell him. I mean, he wore a distinctive cologne, so you knew he was in the building. And, you know, he was not going to be shy about what he wanted. I think sometimes there was frustration in that his expectations of what he wanted, they were unrealistic at times.
Right from the start, you knew that it wasn't just the coaches who were looking at things, it was Al himself.
During the time I played here, Al was on the practice field every Wednesday and every Thursday, and his presence was felt.
We could be sitting on our helmet or maybe not paying attention on the sidelines, but as soon as Al Davis walked onto the football field, everybody would come to attention. Well, get off your helmet and get on one knee or stand and start paying attention. Al had that ability, and I call that fear and respect. He carried that, I think, to every player that's ever played for him.
Davis rewarded respect with loyalty. Of all the slogans he coined, the most genuine might be, once a Raider, always a Raider.
Look around this organization and you see a lot of it. You know, the number of guys who are still with this organization, who is here in the 60s, such as myself and Willie Brown.
I think right now we have probably 15, 20 guys who played for him in their career somewhere along the way, still in the organization.
There was a reason for Davis's devotion. It stemmed from the biggest regret of his life.
1961, I got a call about 5 in the morning, and it was my brother telling me that my father had died. And to this day, that is the one thing that stands out in my life that I come back and focus on, because, quite frankly, I had never really gotten a chance to thank him for all the things he did for me and all the opportunities he gave me. So I made a vivid memory of that, but I also made a promise that I would not hold back to the people who I really do love, and let them know while they're living about my respect and approach to them.
When someone passed, he would tell me, well, I need you to go to the service, and I need you to take this check to the family. I mean, this happened many times that he would do things like that.
My pop's 93 now. When Dad was 80, he was going to have a bypass. And how Al found out, I have no idea. And he goes, you get him on a plane, it's all set up for him at the Mayo Clinic, and they're going to take care of that. I go, Coach, I can't. He's 80. He doesn't even get in my car to go to the doctor. I have to drag him. I can't do that. He says, I'm going to have that doctor fly into your place. I'm like, Coach. And then after the surgery, he would call me every single day to see how my dad was doing. I'll also say this. If, for some reason, he thought that you crossed the line, and you could have been there for 35 years, but if you crossed the line on him, it was over.
Davis was known for his feuds, including one with Hall of Famer Marcus Allen. But 9 other Hall of Famers requested he introduce them for induction in Canton, making Al Davis, by far, the most frequent presenter at the Hall of Fame.
You know, talking about loyalty and what a guy Al Davis was, I said that he's the guy that, you know, if you had anything happen, you had one phone call, who would you make that phone call to? I said it would be Al Davis. I got voted into the Hall of Fame. I had a phone call to make for a presenter, and I called Al Davis.
No one realized the loyalty of Al Davis more than John Madden. In 1969, Davis surprised the football world by naming the 32-year-old Madden head coach of the Raiders, sparking a lifelong friendship.
He's someone who helped me build this organization into the greatness that it was. We were like kids. We had our dreams. He had a big ego. I had a big ego, but we were smart enough to know that we wanted the same thing.
There was no one between Al and I, and so anything that I wanted, I didn't have to go to any general manager or anyone. There was just the two of us, and Al Davis never once turned down anything that I ever wanted.
Madden reached 100 wins faster than any coach in NFL history, while leading Oakland to 8 playoff berths in 10 seasons. Under Madden, the Raiders also played in some of the most famous and controversial games of all time.
Stabler back. Here comes the rush. He sidesteps. Can he throw? He can. The ball flipped forward is loose. A wild scramble. 2 seconds on the clock. Casper grabbing the ball. It is ruled a fumble. Casper is recovered in the end zone. The Oakland Raiders have scored on the most zany, unbelievable, absolutely impossible dream of a play. Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. They said yes. Get your big butt out of here. He does.
While the Raiders of the 1970s played in several games with names, their most important game was simply called Super Bowl XI.
And he looks and throws. Intercepted by the Oakland Raiders. Willie Brown at the 30, 40, 50.
Strange group of players, Kurt. I think the Oakland Raiders, more than anybody else, have what you'd call a really conglomeration of misfits, because these guys came from everywhere, and somehow they put it together. An awful lot of credit's got to go to John Madden, and I guess Al Davis, too.
The Oakland Raiders were magnificent on that football field today, and to the people and the community in Oakland, we're proud to represent you, and we intend to hold it.
Coming up, Al Davis gives underdogs shelter.
We may take a player in who has been a failure somewhere else, and they have done great.
If there was one thing that Al Davis loved, it was an underdog. He enjoyed creating opportunities for overlooked players, even at the expense of his own team.
This is 1974. Pittsburgh started Joe Gilliam in the game, and we beat him something like 17-0. After the game, Terry Bradshaw came in the locker room and said to me, "Can you get me out of here? Can you trade for me?" And I said to him, "Listen, I love you. I got enough problems. I got Stabler, I got Blanda, I still had LaMonica, and I can't get you, but let me put in a good word for you." Chuck Noll had been a close friend, and probably one of the dumbest things I've ever done, said to him, "Why the hell don't you play Bradshaw and stop playing Gilliam? Bradshaw can win for you." He put Bradshaw back in the lineup. They beat us in the championship game in '74. They beat us in the championship game in '75. And we had our hands full with the Steelers from then on, because Good Me raised his hand and suggested that they ought to start Bradshaw.
Davis believed in giving players a fresh start in an era when few franchises offered second chances.
In the old days, usually when you got let go, that was it. They used you up and moved you on, except if Al wanted to take you.
We may take a player in who doesn't have good social habits or has been a failure somewhere else, but it's predicated on bringing them into an environment that can inspire in them the will to do great. And they have done great.
There were a lot of retreads with the Raiders, and he'd get great use out of them.
Stout back, looking right now. He'll never look again. Not this time, as Alzado gets another sack.
How can I use a guy like Billy Cannon? How can I use a guy like Willie Brown? How can I use a guy like Matusek? I mean, on down the line, he had a plan when he brought those guys in there.
Even the bad guys that nobody else wanted end up going to the Raiders and becoming great ball players. And I think you attribute that to Al Davis dealing with people.
When you have to lead men, you don't do unto others as you would have others do unto you. You do unto them in a paramilitary situation as they want to be done unto. You have to treat them the way they want to be treated.
In the 1960s and 70s, minority players and white players weren't always treated equally.
Certain positions, you saw no black players. Most offensive lines, you had white players. Quarterback position, there were none.
I came in the league in 1967. We used to say, well, we can have a convention of the black offensive linemen in a phone booth. There just wasn't that many of us doing it.
And the Raiders behind these blockers shell up, so they block out the sun.
We went into many of the predominant black schools to take a lot of the players. We called it an untapped reservoir. We wanted to win. We wanted the best players. We weren't interested in who they were or exactly where they came from.
That included Eldridge Dickey, the first African-American quarterback to be drafted in the first round.
Gosh, that was a huge step for Al Davis. There was so much against him for that. They had tapped and got tackles and receivers, but here you're talking about a position where it has been orientated that this, quote, black man cannot lead. I could see what he was seeing. I could see him seeing beyond complexion. Al was saying, let it go. You're stifling the growth of the game.
Almost 2/3 of the NFL players are black, but there has never been a black head coach in pro football.
The decisions as to who gets to play and who gets to coach are made by white owners and white general managers.
I just don't know that owners have looked at black coaches as people they can be comfortable with.
But those white traditionalists who controlled the game are being replaced by more pragmatic owners led by Al Davis of the Los Angeles Raiders.
I think if any guy will be able to do it, would probably be Al Davis. I'm for you, Al. My hat's off to you.
I've always said it's not important to be consistent. It's important to be right.